Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. Hey folks, welcome back to the podcast. Today we're going to be unpacking some resilience, self-identity, and societal norms in really high-performance living. Today feels like one of those conversations that starts off feeling like a chat about fitness and performance, and probably very quickly turns into something way deeper. I'm lucky today to be speaking with Jack Goodwin. Jack is an international athlete who's represented Great Britain and competed at the highest levels of endurance sport. For example, his World Athletics profile, he's record personal bests of 13 minutes for a 5K, 29 minutes for a 10K. And to put that into perspective, that is absolutely world-class territory and the result of years of disciplined training, relentless consistency, and the ability to honestly tolerate levels of discomfort that most people would never voluntarily experience. That's not enough. Jack's also posted an exceptional 61-minute time on a high rocks course, so his ability to perform exceeds way beyond the track. But funnily enough, our conversation today goes way beyond any kind of race times, and we're going deep into some trauma, resilience, self-identity, and the pursuit of a meaningful life. When we talk about the pursuit of excellence, whether it's across athletic, professional, or personal dimensions, I think a lot of it really can tie into how our beliefs, maybe even our coping mechanisms, and definitely societal expectations can shape our identity and resilience towards these things. Myself and Jack get into things like how physical training can really become a powerful outlet for things like stress, emotional regulation, and why silence, perhaps, and reflection are so important. Jack opens up about what years of elite sport taught him about things like sacrifice, suffering, and the uncomfortable process of rebuilding your identity when the thing you once defined yourself begins to change a little bit. We go into things around psychological safety, humor as a coping mechanism, and the first responder culture. We do talk about social media and free speech. There's some elements in there that I think you might find interesting. We talk about some neurodiversity, some gratitude, and why meaningful relationships will always matter more than any kind of money, fame, or external validation. I think this conversation really defines itself as carrying your experiences without allowing them to define you. It's about understanding that resilience is not pretending everything is fine. It's about doing the hard work required to build a life that is aligned with what genuinely matters to you. So if you're someone that's been hunting the top 10% and those marginal gains, or maybe you've struggled with setbacks, or you've had a questioning of your own purpose, your own belief, or maybe you've wondered what high performance really looks like behind the scenes, this episode will definitely give you plenty to think about. I'll see you on the other side. But this must be weird for you because you've become, popular and successful in something that you were just doing. I mean, you started running when you were 9. So, and running is such an everyday thing. It's not like you're juggling fire. It's a weird thing that everybody can do, but only very few people can do very well. Do you know what I mean? It's ironically a very accessible sport, but to get very good at it is very difficult because it's so boring and hard for a lot of people.
It's a definite lifestyle. It's a definite lifestyle, and a lot of people want to get better and then realize the reality of what getting better looks like. It's the same with anything. It's the same with your podcast, right? Putting in the hours of sitting and talking to people, you've got to be very innately
but did you plan
interested.
for it, or did you just kind of get pulled into it?
A little bit, I'd like to say it's like the family craft, really. So I think my nan used to sprint down the track when she was a young girl, and then my granddad ended up being the team manager for a long period in the 80s, and then
of the running team
of Bedford County Athletics Club. So that's who I've ran for the year. So years before my granddad become the team manager, my dad and uncle started running for the club. And so basically, me, my cousins, my brother, we all kind of got into it as youngsters. I suppose your dad's kind of your role model when you're young, and my dad was always out running. I wanted to go out running with him. So I started from a young age.
But did it feel like an advantage to have people in the family in it, or was it more like a pressure and an expectation? Because if you were, you might have, there's a lot of people that wanted to be like their dad, but if they were the short, fat kid, it was hard for them to be as good as their 6'5" dad as the basketball. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can aspire to be dad all you like. There has to be an element of But like I say, some people could take it as an advantage or a pressure.
Mm. I think my dad was quite wise with that actually. He was always like making sure we weren't doing it for him. So initially we went down the club and we had a different coach. There was a guy called Steve who was the
Oh,
coach at the time, and so my dad basically used it as a time to get gym for himself. So he would drop us off at the track and then
good
use
shout.
the track's gym. So he got like a couple hours in the gym, and we were kind of there was childcare there basically when we were young. Yeah, it worked out well.
That's
So
really
and then what happened over time is that Steve took on a new role. He got promoted at work, and my dad was in the gym, and he stopped turning up, or he was turning up late. So my dad started taking the warm up for the group, and then gradually it kind of got handed over to my dad and uncle to kind of run the group and train the group.
Uh,
So that the initial pressure weren't there because he wasn't my coach. It just kind of grew over time. It was quite a slow process where that happened. But no, he was great. To be fair, yeah, there was no pressure in that sense. Like a lot of athletes, they put a lot of pressure on themselves. As a parent, you don't need to add that pressure. Kids want to perform, they want to train hard and work hard. You don't need to add anything
what
to that.
makes you want to train hard and work hard?
I I can't tell you why at that age, but now,
Well, for that age, like you say, it might have just been you wanted to do it for your dad, for that adulation, for that
mm,
acceptance, maybe for the family
I mean,
pride.
you
It's
definitely
nice to
don't.
feel good at anything when you're a kid, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
then especially like you kind of double down when you start to learn you're naturally quite good at it.
Yeah.
You get good, then you
Yeah.
start getting recognised at school and then the
Mm.
county and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of social gratification. I mean, yeah, to run as much as I have over my life, you've got to innately enjoy it. So like the
Mm.
feeling when you finish, I'm sure you get it in the gym or when you're playing
Mm.
hockey and stuff like that. That you feel knackered, but you feel like you've got all these
I
positive
don't
and
think it's as
hormones and stuff
big
like that.
as what you get in
Right.
genuine because there's such shorter instances for us. I remember when I did the London landmarks in pink fire kit, terribly slow, but nonetheless, that euphoria sense of the massive dopamine dump and sense of achievement at the I bloody cried. It's only the bloody
Right,
London half
okay.
marathon for God's sake, and I got all
Yeah,
tearful.
got
It just
emotional,
was
yeah.
so weird. It was the same.
Mm.
It wasn't completely the same, but
That
like when my
that
daughter
runner's
was
high.
born, it was just like I remember when my daughter was born.
Mm.
I just bang! I just started crying immediately. I like what didn't even nothing welled up in me. It
Yeah,
was like a
yeah.
sneeze. I just started crying. And I remember it's similar when I got across, although it was more gradual, obviously, with that thing, and it was not quite as important as my daughter being born.
Of
But
course.
just where I remember getting to the end and just saying like, oh, I've just done something that feels like it's taken a long time, and I wasn't sure if I'd be any good at it, which is probably a similar analogy for fatherhood. But then it was there. I
Yeah.
don't know, but yeah, I think yours is bigger than I think than a lot of other athletes. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the more intensely you work, the more your neurology rewards you, right? So if
Mm,
I do an easy run, it's very calm and very chilled, but I don't get any I don't get dopamine, I don't have that runner's high as people like to refer it, but at the end
yeah.
of a 5K race and I've just finished and I'm all out, your brain kind of rewards you massively. You get this big high, you get loads of
Mm.
adrenaline, you can't stop talking, you can't sleep. It's a really annoying thing after a race. You're like wired for the next 5 hours.
Isn't that the weird one though? It's because it's a bit like, when people talk about being lazy at work and like if you've done nothing at work all day, you're knackered. But if you've
Mhm.
been busy all day,
Yeah.
you feel ready to run through a wall. And that's
Yeah.
why I try, like I said before we started recording, like I woke up with some pain in my back and I want to get out there and, just do a load of mobility and stuff in the garden, swing a kettlebell around, get in the ice bath, do a little bit of things because I know, even though my body doesn't want to do it, the other side of that is it's like your body is a walking drug factory. You just need to press the
Mm,
right buttons and pull the right levers, and it will give you the drugs you need. But you often have to go through stuff like that. And I'm not
mm,
talking about silly, crazy stuff. I didn't lift anything heavy today. I just swung literally a 5 kilo kettlebell around and
yeah.
did loads of mobility stuff. And I felt
Hmm.
so much better for it. So much
Hmm.
better.
Yeah. Well, that's that like evolutionary biology side of it. It's like you work, your brain rewards you because the people that didn't work kind of died out because they didn't have the food in the past, right? So our brains are wired to keep us alive and stuff. So your body rewards you for doing physical tasks, in my opinion.
Do you think that's causing mental incongruence now, though? Because the people that don't do the work aren't dying. they're existing still. We've
Say that.
created
Say that
so
again.
the people
So,
that don't do the work now
mm,
aren't dying. We've gotten
mm,
to such a point in society where society can absorb everybody, and
mm-hmm.
like we it's going to sound really bad. Like I know it's a toxic masculinity, but like as toxic as it might sound, if you didn't help out, if you weren't useful,
Yeah.
if you weren't, but it'd have been the best thing for the tribe that we just push you out. We don't want anybody
Yeah.
reproducing with you. We need to get rid of you because you're
Mm-hmm.
bad for the tribe. Whereas now, if you just blame throw in energy vampire, the
Mm-hmm.
world is against me, everything's everyone else's fault, woe is me, I'm not doing this, you
Mm.
know, we'll absorb you.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll even let you in places like the fire service, but we'll definitely absorb you in society.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think not only is that, net negative for probably the world. Not that we should be putting people to death, I'm not what I'm saying. But just
No.
saying, like, what it does do is it discourages people from doing the things that are genuinely going to help them.
I have deep frustrations
You
with
know
this
what I mean?
because it's that there's when you were talking there that there's parallels in my head. It's like there's people that don't realize that they're sitting around and they feel awful about themselves, maybe lack of motivation, and a lot of the time they're just, what's the term, lethargic, right? So
Yep.
they're sitting there lethargic. They're not tired, but they think they're tired. They think they've got low energy, and it's like you go and do some low intensity exercise and watch yourself energize. It's bonkers. Even for me, like a high energy person, I can train in the morning and I can sit around because I'm trying to recover all day. And I really, really, it gets to 5 o'clock in the evening, and I'm like, I really do not want to go out now. I feel really tired, really lethargic. And then I'll just go out for a little half an hour run, nice and easy, steady, steady. And I'll come back and I'm wired. I've got a second wind. I feel great again. My appetite's there. And like people, I feel sad for people because they don't know that. It's like, if I'm sitting down feeling restless or lethargic, I'm like, all right, I know I need to get active. My brain's telling me I need to get active. And I wish people would know that. And like you were alluding to, like, maybe the psychological side of benefits, for example, right? So you pay someone to kind of sit at home and not do anything, and you're kind of stealing them from their natural urges and their like
Yeah.
abilities to get out and kind of do
They
hard
think they've
things for
won.
themselves.
Or like they're like, fucking hell, someone's paying me to be home and do anything. And I'm like, we just numbed you.
Yeah,
We
just robbing
just
them,
numbed
robbing them
you.
of
We're
motivation.
robbing
Yeah.
you of everything. We're saying don't even try and explore what is uniquely you that you could bring to this world. Just sit there and stay out of the way.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like if someone said, "Oh, if you didn't enjoy a sport at school," and someone said, "Don't worry, Dave, you can sit this one out, brother." You'd be sitting on the
Mm.
side, like with a fleece on, going,
Mm-hmm.
"Yeah, I'm like this." But what they've actually said is, "We don't even want you in here because you're crap,"
Yeah.
and everyone's lost. Everyone's lost because you don't get to participate. You don't get the sense of feeling of whatever difficulty, setbacks, teamwork, whatever, all of that stuff. Um, but I think that's happening to so many people now. I remember when I was listening to another podcast recently, and they were talking about uh, what's it called, like net national income,
Yeah.
national standard income, or something like that. What's it called? Where we're just going to get to the point.
AKA communism.
Yeah. Where they're like, "Oh, what we're gonna
Yeah.
do with AI? Everyone's gonna lose their jobs." And they go, "Oh, no, because all the, capitalism will lift everything up, and then we'll be able to just give everybody a set amount of income every year, and they won't need to work because a lot of
Mm.
other stuff will get it." And then that person said, "This will be great because all of the people will be able to pursue their passions."
Mm.
Now that, I think, is a survivor bias, because I hear that and go, "Fuck yeah, I'd love to spend all my time doing this." But that's a survivor bias where you would like that because you are the sort of person that is already pursuing your passion just on a smaller scale, and you would love to have more time to pursue your passions greater. Some
Mm-hmm.
people have forgotten completely that they once had a passion.
Mm-hmm.
They have sterilized everything from themselves and become this professional avatar where they're not even themselves anymore. Do you know what I mean? They've abandoned who they once were. So if you said to somebody, "Hey, go home. We'll just pay you. Don't worry about it," they'll probably just spiral into depression. You would keep running and start coaching people and da 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 da. You'd find loads of stuff to do with your time, but you're a type A person, Jack.
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not everybody else.
Yeah, and you're potentially, I don't think everyone is a type A or type B person from birth. I don't think that is genetic. I think that you can
No.
turn that on and off. So
Yeah.
the downside of that is we're turning a lot of people to B type personalities. We're trying to live for ease all the time. Like, technology has made everything so much easier. We're so far removed about the hard things in life. Like, you think back in the
Mm.
day, just traveling was hard. You'd have to travel, you'd have to carry the things you wanted. Now we just jump in a car, we put what we want in it, and we're
Yeah.
there. We've solved a lot of problems, and it's making us, yeah, I guess, demotivated to do the hard things. And a big part
Mm.
of my drive to, continue training, and I'll be training till I die. Like, I don't care what that manifests like. If I'm sitting there on a sofa and pedaling a little device on the floor just to keep some activity going when I'm 80, I will be doing that. And the reason is because an underlying moral of mine is like, I don't want an easy life. I don't want to go through life like with a pristine body and
Yeah.
I've done nothing and achieved nothing. I want to break myself, in a sense.
Yeah.
I want to get to old age, and I want to have a good quality of life when I'm old age. But I want to
Yeah.
be able to look back and be happy with what
I'll
I've
be like,
done
I've
and
used it.
achieved. And
Yeah.
yeah, like, there's nothing sadder than someone getting to kind of 80 and regretting loads of things, that they didn't do. And again, now I've got two really good working knees, but I didn't achieve anything I wanted to achieve. Like,
Yeah. It's a
well done.
bit like if you arrived at the pearly gates and God or whoever looks at your body and they're like, you barely use this. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
oh, we might be able to, talk about afterlife, talk about rebirth. Someone's like, yeah, might just put this one out there again because you
yeah,
didn't even
yeah,
use a lot of it.
yeah.
We gave you so many of these unique gifts and you barely, pop the cap on all of them. I want to get there. And someone's just like, oh, this one is ruined.
Yeah, this
Like,
is
he
this is a
has
write-off.
squeezed everything out of the tube. We can salvage nothing from this one. Fair play.
Hmm.
Fair play to you.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so you're pushing back the plate and they're going, oh, you smashed your way through that. You
yeah.
smashed your way through it. But we're working in collaboration with the Blue Light Show, a national conference and exhibition built around one thing. Blue Light services do better together than apart. I'm going to be there 1st and 2nd of July 2026 at the event, getting involved with those conversations and connecting with people who really care about doing the job better across the blue light sector. I'll see you there. That's what I'd look. I think I need to temper what version of that I'm currently doing, as was our conversation this morning when I speak about bulging discs in my back. I go, yeah, I need to. And I know that's a result of some of the training that I've done, but I imagine there's similar for runners. So you've done obviously club, county, country, all the age groups, as well as senior athletes. And that seems a strange thing to say given how young you are. Referring to you as a senior athlete is a bit of a mental incongruence, but nonetheless,
Well, in
you've been doing it
athletics,
for
so it's,
22, 23 years, something now?
yeah, 20. It's coming up for 23 years. Yeah, competing as well. So yeah, yeah,
What does that
yeah.
feel like on the body?
Well, did you see my list of operations that I've had?
I
I've
did,
had
but I
a I've
prefer
had
to
a
hear it
fair
from you.
few. So I've learned over the years because, again, referring back to the type A personality, a lot of
Yeah.
people that I know that are into running, like, if you're willing to train 6, 7 days a week, you're a type A person, right?
Mm.
So your proclivity is going to be an overdoer. So you're going to always overdo, you're going to overtrain, you're going to work too hard. And pretty much everyone I know down Bedford Athletics Stadium, they're all overdoers. So none of them are not getting where they want to be through putting in hard work. They're there because they can't rest, or they're not living the lifestyle outside of training. So they'll get the training done, they'll work really hard, but then, the weekend will come and they want a few beers with their friends. So
Mm.
there's trade-offs that you have to have. And when I was
Mm.
younger, I used to, most of my operations were in my younger years, so my
Yeah.
teens and early 20s. So I was definitely overdoing it. I was training too hard. Very keen. I also try to balance running and rugby at the same time. So I'd kind of like have a running race on a Saturday, be very, very tired boy, and then I'd turn up on a Sunday morning for a rugby match. So that
just for
that
people
probably
to
was
kick the hell out of each other. I mean, rugby's an incredible
yeah,
sport. I
yeah.
absolutely love it. I played it in school. But then as I started doing strongman and other sports, I mean, as much as ice hockey and roller hockey were physical, high impact sports, they didn't have the same type of concern for me. And I don't know if that's just because I did them more than I dig things like rugby. Rugby seemed much more like someone could just turn up on a Saturday and want to hurt you, and
Yeah,
that
it
could
definitely
be
does.
that could be a career, that could be a job changing injury.
Well, potentially. I mean, it depends how good the referee is. Obviously, low-level rugby referees are pretty poor.
Yeah.
But I do think there's also a big argument to uh, it being good for society because it attracts a lot of people that are like that, and
hmm
they get to channel that into something positive.
Oh,
And
hugely positive. Same way as
if
martial
you
arts, jiu-jitsu, whatever, like
and that's it.
massively positive for society.
And you have to have a good coach, right? So if you've got loads of kids that are a little bit AWOL and they're just out there to hurt people, your coach should really like curb that and be like, look, right, you're allowed to like put big hits in, mate, but there's rules here, right? You got at the right height and it's got to be at the right time, and if
Mm.
they can learn to integrate themselves into the game and that aggression and that, aggression is an innate part of us, I believe. So if you don't integrate that and if you don't learn to integrate it, will come out in very, very strange ways. And rugby, I found
Mm.
for me personally, like I was quite an angry kid,
Mhm.
all the hormones and stuff, and you put a lot of pent up energy, let's say. So rugby was absolutely brilliant for that.
Do you think you're an angry adult?
Definitely not, no.
Huh?
Yeah. No, I'm
How
pretty
does
calm
energy
now.
manifest in you now then?
A lot of my competition, I think. Competition is my outlet, training hard, and yeah, getting my training plan right is where. I also, I guess, firefighting's a big thing. So I think you need to have integrated your aggression pretty well to go into a building fire in a calm state, in my opinion.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that are going to hurt you potentially.
Mhm.
You got to kind of you get the adrenaline. If most people get the adrenaline, you got to learn to curb that and use that well. And then sometimes, physical tasks they require a lot of aggression. If you're trying to drag a casualty out of a building fire, there's a hell of a aggression that's going to be required to be mustered up to
I think
achieve that
aggression's
task.
very useful. Yeah.
I think it is.
It's
It's taught if
very,
if
very useful.
it's very useful if you can curb it, but if you never
Mm.
get taught to curb it or people try and suppress it, that's when it comes out in a very strange way.
Mm. It's like, I think that's a Jordan Peterson thing, isn't it? Where he talks about you should be an aggressive, how does he describe it? An aggressive, I think he describes it as violent. Maybe he's violent?
Yeah, he's like,
A discussive, violent person that chooses not to use it.
yes. So
Do
it's
you know
like,
what I mean? Someone that
yeah,
has the capacity to cause harm and
mm,
chooses not to cause harm, that's
hmm
true humility.
yeah,
If you're a pussy and you choose not to cause harm, well, then no, that's not humility. You
of
couldn't.
course.
There's no nobility in a kitten deciding not to scratch me because it couldn't really do a great deal of harm either way. It's
hmm
a kitten. Do you know what I mean? But that tiger choosing not to rip my head off, that's some serious self control.
Yeah,
That's actually quite impressive. You
and
know.
yeah, and if you're, so that's I see he parallels that with like being able to say no. So if you can integrate your
Mm.
aggression, what's behind no is like no or else, isn't it? Like, and it's a
Mm.
very well socialized way of saying like, right, back off now, right? So if you can
Mm.
say no to someone, you have to have quite a lot of aggression behind that to be able to say that, and people stop. So people that get
Mm.
bullied easy, typically they have low levels of integrated aggression. People take the mick
Mm.
out of them. They can't stick up for themselves because there's nothing backing it up behind. And you don't want to do
Mm.
the thing, you don't want to you don't
No,
want to be
no, no,
aggressive. But
no.
it's like, right, if you do push past a certain point, there will be consequences to that.
Yeah, I hate that, and I feel like people. I think there's a real. You just see it sometimes. People that are going to struggle in life in general, and I don't think that's always just a genetic lottery thing. I think a lot of it that I think maybe at least 50%, if not more, is a mindset thing as well.
Mhm.
Because there's some people that you look at them and you go, there's no obvious physical abnormality about you. There's no reason you should really be bullied or struggle. Like you're a fit, strong guy, or you're a big person, or you're actually an attractive girl, but you're allowing someone else to treat you this way. And that's got to be, into some element, like a volunteer victim approach, which sounds very accusatory because that person is genuinely struggling. But realistically, you get what you tolerate.
Yeah, I think it comes from a potentially a worldview that like aggression is wrong. You know, people like, oh,
Mm,
aggressive people are bad people, or, you know, they've maybe
mm,
had an experience in their life that they've seen someone be aggressive, or they had an aggressive parent. They just, I don't ever want to be like that. And it's like, you've had a
mm,
bad example of aggressive tendencies. Like the integration of aggression is the most important thing, I believe. Um,
mm.
and if you haven't had a role model that's taught you to integrate that aggression and use it positively, let's say, then yeah, I think you will struggle walking through life, innit?
I think it's like because if we play word association games, we'll get off this topic in a second, but I find it
Yeah.
interesting. Like I'm I'm a recovering addict from my early 20s, and an addict is just a similar fuel source to something that you have a hyper focus on. You can't seem to stop doing it, whether it's a chemical addiction or a psychological addiction. But so long as it's no longer a chemical addiction, you're not taking a substance as such, you can still be addicted to people or to a behavior or to like you can work, your workaholic or stuff like that. But if you were an artist, we would say you're passionate. You know what I mean? If you were a businessman, we'd say you're driven.
Mhm.
But if you're an addict, we think of it in the negative context when really they're very similar in my personal preference. And I thought about that just to paraphrase into what you were saying about aggression. It's like we could follow the word association game if we could go aggression, driven, CEO. You could follow that thread, but you wouldn't say, oh, the chief fire officer's really toxic because they're aggressive. But someone might go, oh, wow, that person's really driven. Yeah, and an element of that will need to be aggression. And also they need to have something to back it up. Back to our aggression competency, like just being driven and but incompetent and driven is not going to work. You can really put your mind to
You'd be
applying for the
surprised.
thing or put.
You'd be surprised though. Like
Oh
even
no, some
even
people get
yeah,
a long way
yeah. You'd be
with sheer confidence and fake it till you
unfortunately.
make it. Yeah,
Mm.
unfortunately, but I would say for the vast majority, there's at least a moderate to higher level of. It could be moderate competency with extra drive and aggression. They're just pushing it harder. I think sometimes the most competent people may not always also be the most driven people. Therefore, you don't actually get the best ones at the top. In the same way with sport, I always used to say when I used to compete in strongman, I was like, I bet the greatest strongman in the world has never even been to the gym. I'll bet he's in the field in South Africa lifting up a tractor with one arm. But he's never, genetically, he might be the strongest man in the world, but he's probably never had an interest or never been in a position. I imagine the best 5K, 10K marathon runners and everything else, all the way up to ultras,
Yeah,
probably
I would
we'll never know who they are. Yeah.
yeah, I've had this conversation with quite a few people, and I think it's a really unilateral way of looking at what an athlete is. So
Okay.
you're just saying as like the raw DNA, right? But
Yeah.
like I know athletes who in training they're so impressive, and then you put a number on them and put them on the start line with a start and a gun, they just fold.
Just
And
fall to pieces.
and there's more than just the physical
Yeah,
element in
yeah, yeah. I
sport.
found.
You know,
Yeah.
I know incredible athletes again who can't live the lifestyle. They like the alcohol, they like the partying, and you're just
Mm,
not going to make the cut if you're not making them sacrifices.
mm.
You're just not going to make the cut. So there's way more to an athlete than just physical prowess, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Especially to make yourself do a lot of the things that you have to do. I remember, um, my perception of what some elite performance was. When I was reading some of your stuff, hearing you doing 90 to 110 miles a week, or double threshold days in VO2 max work and all of that sort of jazz. I was like, be honest, is high performance incompatible with like a normal life? Because even when people, I don't, can you truly be high performance when you work in shifts and stuff like
The short answer is no.
that? Honest.
Yeah, straight up. If you're just take the concept of sleep, so just one of many things that we could talk about, but sleep.
Yeah.
If we work pretty much 24-hour shifts in a week, and if I'm getting disturbed sleep twice a week, and someone else isn't, and you're competing against that person, just right there,
Yeah.
and then that's
Oh.
like, you've also got in the evening. Most elite athletes are training twice a day. So they're pretty much training in the morning, sleep, eat throughout the day, and then train again in the evening, and just repeat that cycle. If I'm in the gym on shift and I get a fire call, I miss that session. Now, I could also then get a shout in the night and wake up in the morning, and then I have to then skip my morning session. So again, you can see, like, maybe twice a week I might miss a couple of sessions a week as well. So if you're competing against someone who their week is flawless every single week, you're not going to make the same gains as that person's making. So by
As much as
default,
people will go, yeah, but why don't you just do that session later? And you go, well, okay, I understand what you're saying. So you're saying, why don't I just eat the food and switch my day around? But I didn't plan to eat now. I'd eaten, then rested for my digestion to settle, to be at peak for my training. If I just now try and eat, plus later I was supposed to do a second session anyway. So you just never get that back. In the same way as sleep recovery, people go, I need to catch up on some sleep. Literally physiologically impossible.
yeah,
You can get
where
back
as well.
to good sleep from now onwards, but you can literally never get. I've not slept as much as I should have done this last week. That is that week of my life. I can't catch up on that sleep. I can feel better again from now moving forwards, but I literally can't catch up on that sleep. The damage that I've done to my body from missing that bit of sleep, the cognitive impairment that I have today, that's just is what it is. I can get better again in the future, but that's lost. That bit's gone, unfortunately.
Yeah,
What I think, anyway. That's from what I've learned from listening to books and stuff, but I don't know.
well, you come and train 100-mile week with me. I would even say on a bike. Do the miles that I'm doing on a bike and just put the time in. And I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm saying logistically, you try and find extra time in that week. And you try and find energy. I love the people like, oh, can't you just try a bit harder? You're just talking about, I'm going for a PB and I've run this time. Just try a bit harder. It's like, yeah, you really don't understand the sport. You don't understand how training, because I love the saying, there's no solutions, there's just trade-offs.
Always.
That underpins
Always.
that underpins most things, and
Yeah.
time and sleep and nutrition. Like you say, you can't get back.
Anything in life, to be honest. Literally, you can expand that out for me to anything in life.
Yeah, I wish upper
my choice
management
to be here
in the
with you
fire service.
now. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm choosing not to be with my daughter right now.
Yeah.
People are like, no, well, no, you're not. Well, I am, because I'm choosing to speak to Jack. I could be doing anything else with my time. So don't tell me that's the most important thing in your world. You can say it's one of the most important priorities is to spend time with my family, but I'm literally choosing not to be with them now. And that's a tough reframe to people. It's the same as when someone says, oh, do you want to meet up this weekend? Or I haven't got time. Or, yeah, I can't remember going to swear. You genuinely have. Of course you have. You are just consciously making a decision you're unconsciously making a decision that you daren't speak aloud, which is, the thing I've planned is more important to me than being with you.
Well, I believe that should be conscious. I think people need to.
Yeah, but I think most people it's not. And even for some people it is, they wouldn't say it out loud.
It's not
Definitely wouldn't say it
conscious.
out loud.
And
Seems
I
rude.
think and I think we've lost that in the culture. I think we need to be a bit more to the point and abrupt. It's like, I'm protecting this area in my life because I value this thing, and I shouldn't feel guilty for saying no to that other thing. I had to do a lot of that, and I sat down and I challenge anyone listening to this to do this task. Actually, it was you mentioned Jordan Peterson. He's got a platform called Self-Authoring. and you sit down, and it's like past authoring, which helps you kind of calibrate what happened in your past and put it into little epochs and just write a little bit about it. And then you've got present authoring and future authoring. Now, present authoring is like where you are now, and then the future authoring is like where you want to go. And you start kind of sitting down and actually typing this thing out. And this is really important for me, actually, because it when I was weighing up this, like, no solutions, just trade-offs, and I'm sitting there on my laptop thinking, right, I want to be a professional athlete. Like, I want to be an elite athlete. So if I was to want to be an elite athlete, what do I need to do? Well, what are the elite athletes doing? They're up a mountain at altitude, training twice a day, every day, getting all their sleep. So can I achieve that? Well, yeah, if I sold my house and
Exactly.
encourage my partner to move to France, for example, in front remote, where a lot of the pros train, and did a year out there, would I increase my chance of becoming a professional athlete? The answer is yeah, 100%. Am I willing to sell my house and potentially disrupt the relationship with my wife? No. Okay, so then I was like, I can underscore some values from that, right? I'm sitting there going, well, I do want to be a professional athlete, real bad, right?
You keep
But
saying professional athlete and elite athlete, sorry.
Okay.
I know for you they
Apologies.
might seem the same thing, but
Yeah.
only because I'm in there with you at the minute,
Yeah.
there's different definitions here, isn't there?
Yeah.
And
I
this
think,
is because I think, half of the universe, responds to specific asks and doesn't reward any vague wishes. So if we're getting specific, like if I said someone, you keep saying these two things, is what I'm saying to you now.
Apologies. Yeah.
Professional athlete is
Yeah.
paid. I do that. Elite, there's elite people that are professional. Carry on. That's not me
Of
being a
course.
dick, because I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
you're on
No.
some fucking gold here. So carry on.
Yeah, and I think that would confuse a lot of people, so apologies. Right.
I have been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together.
Yeah.
So I'd like to be paid full time to be a professional athlete doing this thing. So then, obviously, going down that track, following that thought process, I kind of underpinned some values. I was like, right, I definitely value my relationship with my wife and my friends and family over becoming a professional athlete. Now, why?
It seems like such a dick question to ask.
No. Yeah.
For you, but for the listener, they'll be like, I can't believe it. How disrespectful, Pete. He's just married. I saw a picture of his wedding on Instagram. Like, how it can be a clear no, but it's still a question. People that think these things aren't an option, everything's an option.
Everything's on the table.
Everything's an option. Everything's on the table.
The reason why I say it,
pick each one up and go, no, I don't want to leave her because I think it's the A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Do you know what I mean? But I'm like, so why is it not worth it to you? Because to some it is.
Going on that track, yeah. So I know people that are sacrificing them things, and those people are professional athletes.
They are. Mo Farah's like 7 months away from his family a year or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
maybe
he didn't see his kids often. He lived in Kenya most of the time.
He doesn't see him, I don't think.
Do you know a funny story actually? Because I know someone who knows him.
Okay.
And was out at a training camp with him at the time. And this will underscore what it's like to the lifestyle of a professional athlete. So Mo was in Kenya. His kids came over to see him. His wife and kids came over to see him. Trained in the morning. In the afternoon, he went to the local park with the kids, and he was lifting his kids up. He was running around with them, playing as a dad would with their kids. And when a couple of other athletes saw him, and they had a little conversation and said, they were making a joke, but there's some truth in it. They said, that's great. Mo's playing with his kids. He's not resting between training. I'm definitely going to be able to beat Mo this year. Because he's not, because we're sleeping. We're sleeping between training sessions. He's out in the sun. He's playing with his kids. He's doing it. You keep playing with your kids because
you two should go cinemas later and take the kids from McDonald's. They love that. You go, brother,
and have that McFlurry and yeah. So and And that kind of, to me, highlighted that story, the guy that's telling me the story. So it's a secondhand story, but he was telling me the story. And it made me think that underscores what it's like to be a professional athlete. They're looking for gains everywhere.
And that's
But
the biggest problem, isn't
yeah.
it? Like let's recalibrate this tremendously before I just do a comparison between me and Mo Farah. Let me just put that out. But like, if I want to, I'm really enjoying this thing. We're doing the podcast thing. Really enjoying the podcast. Also enjoy doing some competitive stuff. You can't be best. You can't even be great at both of these, Pete. So which one do you take more fulfillment from? And I like doing the travel. Are we just trying to have an abundance of stuff here? Is there an unrealistic expectation where we're like, yeah, and maybe Instagram and the social media is doing this to us. You can be professional athlete level, really in shape, successful dude with the suit on, crushing it at work, and you're an emergency services operator, and you've got a strong swim, and you've got a goddamn beautiful partner. You know what I mean? How is all of this net positive and realistic for encouraging people in this way? Because of, like you said, the actual sacrifices of a professional athlete is not, it's like people want the view, but they don't want the climb. The lived experience of that person is very different than what you perceive it to be.
Yeah, for sure. There's not many partners that would put up with being with a professional athlete and the traveling and the lifestyle that you have to live.
No.
And you've got to be completely out of whack in life, like out of balance. If you got the analogy of spinning plates of relationship to, your friendships and your rest time and your socializing and all the different things, the plates that most people want to spin to keep somewhere in balance. It's like, as an athlete, a professional athlete, you have to kind of stop spinning some of them plates. Mm-hmm. It's the same with business people. They'll it can be a bit sad sometimes, can't it? People lose their friend group, lose their relationships to climb that mountain and get the money and get the contract or whatever it is, and then they do the thing, they get there, and they're kind of like, they feel like they're going to get this kind of big rush of
fulfillment?
Self-fulfillment, yeah, at this point, and they realize they feel exactly the same. They've got the thing now, but now they haven't got the family, they haven't got the friends, they haven't got the community. And going back to your question about, why do I prioritize them things, is because I can project into the future. I like a lot of reading. I like to read books on like philosophy and wisdom sort of stuff. And I'm like, your running career is going to be pretty short. Even if you have a good career, you might last 10 years. And maybe you can earn all your money you need to earn in that 10-year period. But if you do things to your body or, completely go out of whack and don't have any community around you to get this thing, at the end of it, you'll be quite depressed. There'll be a big come down of that. And it's quite interesting. I was warming down. I was at the British Champs a couple of years ago. It was British Champs indoor. So obviously the best people we've got in Britain, and I'm warming down with a professional athlete. I'm not going to say his name, but he's a good lad, and he's coming to the end of his contract, and he's worried. He's gone to university, he's got a degree, but he hasn't got any experience in work. He's 31 years old, and he's going to try and go. Yeah, but he's fine. But he was really worried about going into the working world. It's like, if I don't get my contract renewed, I'm going to go in as a 31-year-old into the working world with no working experience. I'm going to almost have to start at the bottom and work my way back up. And it was like, he was really worried about it. He's like, you don't get it, Jack. Like, you've got a career, you've got a house. Like, he didn't have a stable house because his contract wasn't brilliant. He wasn't making loads of money. And he's like, I feel like I'm 31. I'm starting again where a 20-year-old would be starting. And you kind of look at that and go, wow, yeah, I thought he was living the dream, and it's an interesting contrast.
Is that where we think, like, I've spent a little bit of time looking into how much the Olympics is or isn't a con. Controversial topic.
Say that again for me.
I've spent a bit of time looking into how much the Olympics is or isn't a con, which is a bit of a controversial topic. And when I say con, I go, how many people watch the Olympics? Billions. How much do the athletes get paid? Next to fuck all. Why is that happening? Because I get people go, why do footballers get paid so much? Because billions of people watch. But billions of people watch the Olympics. So why don't the athletes get paid billions? Or just or at least 100,000 or whatever? Some of them do through their sponsors, but they don't. Most of them don't.
A tiny percent of
Literally,
them. A tiny percent.
most of them are on a bursary or some sort of, you'll know the terminology way better than me, but like, where's all the money going? Is it just going to the Olympic Committee? And what are they doing with it? Because they're not the athletes. And my brain doesn't know enough about this. And I've heard lots of controversial points of view about it. But I'm not sure how we could. You could inspire footballers to become footballers. In America, you could inspire people to play American football or baseball. If you tried to inspire someone to be a 10K world champion, would you just hope that they would see value in it because it's a really difficult thing to do? You wouldn't be able to point at many people and go, do it because it gives you a good life. No, you'd have to go do it because you'll be admired as a champion and someone that's done something very difficult. Or you could point at someone that's won a high rocks and has got a big social media influence and go, well, you can become the best 10K runner in the world and then transition into an everyday run around sport at the NEC Birmingham and actually make way more money in something that's not even a sport than a genuine sport that you train 20 years to be the best at.
Yeah,
it's like mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's changed the game. The social media thing's changed the game because you're now an individual marketing vehicle as an athlete. But I know athletes who have competed in the European Championships and made the final who have got less followers than just a local influencer.
Loads. There's people that are
Yeah.
people on Gladiators who are moderate athletes, and you're like, there's some of them may have even been in your world at times, and you're like, that dude's like didn't even make the qualifiers for this, and he's on the thing. There's firefighters that have got hundreds of thousands of followers, and they come to a firefighter challenge thing, and they can't even finish it. And you're like, how are you a fitness influencer to walking around telling everybody you're a firefighter? You can't even finish.
But you also pay a price for that, I believe. So, if you present yourself as an expert in something you're not, you're going to constantly be insecure about that thing, and you pay a little bit of a price for that. So you're selling a little bit of your soul for finances, in my opinion. That's
definitely, but I think you'll only feel that long-term rot down the line, and you can sort of pacify that, and you can. Well, you may think that, but I've just been invited out to the fitness expo in Dubai, so I don't really bloody care that you think I'm full of shit, Jack. Some people might think that. Do you know what I mean?
Of course,
we know in the community, people are like, no, there's not even that.
I think they know, though. Like you.
They know themselves, but the people that don't know are the people that are giving them.
Yeah, but that's in my opinion worse for them. You're going to project as a professional. Yeah, I don't know.
Going to bed at night feeling like a bit of a fraud.
Yeah, and you're lost. You're a lost character. You're lying to the world, so therefore you're lying to yourself. And then you warp reality. You don't know what's true anymore. You become like this, I don't know, alter ego of yourself. And I think these people always end up in like some form of depression or something like that because you're always putting on an act, and that must be tiring.
I think it is very tiring, and I agree. But echoing back to, more kids want to be influencers now than want to be professional athletes. And I think that's net negative for society. I don't know how to articulate it much better than that without going off on some rambling explanation. Well, but I think it's not good for us that people want that.
Yeah, and I think, it depends how far you want to boil this conversation down. But
you go wherever you want, brother. I can reverse it back out of this cul-de-sac whenever you like. But
no. It's to me, there's a big part of it's like schooling and values and parenting and values and stuff like that. There's definitely a straight and narrow path to be trod in life, and if you veer off that, you know, you don't live a good, wholesome life, in my opinion. So, yeah, some of the values people have got, they want fame for fame's sake, and in reality, you know, if you get to a place of fame, like I couldn't think of anything worse than being a reality TV personality, because you don't know why you're famous. Like if you're a professional athlete and you're famous, you're like, well, I kind of get
You
this
can point
crazy
at
thing.
something, can't you?
Yeah, you go like, people like me because I'm good at this thing. You can kind of be like, all right, I understand why people go crazy when they see me and stuff, to a point. But I'm a reality
Mate,
TV thing, and I can't work out what these
what
people like
the
me, and then
absolute.
what a hellhole. Like, in my opinion, that's just hell, because now you're looking around to go, what's the next social fad that I need to jump on quickly to still be in the limelight? Because I don't give any value to anyone. I don't provide anything for anyone.
No.
So all I am is like this ghost of myself trying to appease people. And it just doesn't
I
seem
think it's
like a,
kind of like then maybe they wanted to once be, and I don't know, I'm literally thinking about this on the fly now, but like a comedian, if you're a famous comedian, you can go, I know people like me just because I'm funny, not just because I'm funny, because I've worked really hard at being a comedian. And I know
that's the
people
key.
come and they watch me because I'm a comedian. If you're not a comedian and you are just a celebrity, because you could go, well, the people only like Jimmy Carr because he's funny. People like me because they think I'm interesting. And they go, his is a thing, though. Like, he's a comedian. He does shows and people, they go and laugh at him. You just went on and acted like you just kind of embarrassed yourself for a bit on something. And then now everybody knows you for the thing you embarrassed yourself on. And then you watch Celebrity SAS, Who Dares Wins or whatever. And I said to my missus, like, should we watch something? And she'll go, oh, I was like, who are these people then? And she'll go, it's a celebrity one. It's so-and-so and so-and-so. And I'll go, where are they from? And she'll go, oh, well, they're from Only Way is Essex. And I'm like, but that's not even a thing in itself. That wasn't a thing. It's not like they're from whatever, you know, they were an Olympian here, or they were a singer, which is a skill or a talent. You know, they didn't even do anything. They've gone from one nothing to the next nothing. And then they're doing Gogglebox, where they're a nobody watching another nobody. But these are all somebodies for no bloody reason.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then we're God, we got into a right rabbit hole there. But then we're encouraging people to aspire to something that I'm like, they're aspiring to something that doesn't add any value to the world.
It's empty, and you don't want to do hard things for that, just for the sake of doing hard things. But
No.
by definition, things have to be hard to do for us to value them in a community, right? So
Yeah.
being a professional athlete is very, very tricky, and that's why it's prestigious.
Yes.
So yeah, so
Everyone can relate to that hard, whether that hard is they tried to run up their hill to get home once, or they tried to do anything. People get physical exertion as a difficulty, and that's why we respect people that can endure elements of it. We even respect academics. Well, not even. You know, we should respect academics. They can consume a large piece. You know, you went for Bedford. Were you in Bedfordshire? Where'd you get your scholarship to? You got a scholarship to the States, didn't you?
yeah, so I didn't really go to university for the right reasons, but
Florida State, wasn't it?
yeah, so I went to University of Bedfordshire first,
Yeah.
and then in my time there, I got offered multiple scholarships to go to America, and then went over
Yes.
to Florida State University for 2 years, and again,
What
probably
was
for all
that
the
like?
reasons. Good and bad, good and bad. So it's a great opportunity. I would just say I was probably way too immature at that time in my life to take full advantage of that opportunity. It is like being
Florida.
a professional athlete.
Sunshine and cocaine.
Well, and even the funny thing is, even underscoring the reason why I chose Florida State, it was like, oh, the American football team like won the national championships that year, and I watch, there's like parties everywhere and
Florida
stuff
looks amazing.
online.
I've been to Florida once when I was about 18. Amazing.
And yeah, it's great, you know, but there's a hell of a lot of distractions there, and yeah, the opportunity is amazing. Like, you know, I lived.
This is the unseen privilege thing, like where people are like, you don't realize the tremendous benefit you got. Being born in the UK versus North Korea. You know what I mean? You're born a white male in the UK. You're born a white male in Florida. You were born as a white male in the UK with crap weather, but you still got a load of benefits from being in the Western world that you don't realize. Whereas if you were born in the Western world in an area of abundance with beautiful weather all the time, and you're a white male and whatever and whatever and whatever, you're like, yes, everyone's got their hard, but not everyone starts from the same start line either. And I do think, when you've spent a couple of weeks, I went out and saw some friends in Gibraltar recently. In fact, I was just out in Atlanta, Georgia, even though they do have hurricanes out there. I got this thing out, actually. Hey, I just realized I'm wearing a hoodie. Weather is so much nicer, and it just genuinely changes your mood. Like, did you see a change in yourself just spending 2 years in Florida? Good and bad? As you said about the distractions, but...
Definitely. I would even say on a psychological basis, it made me more narcissistic. I would say it led me forward
That's
towards
honest.
that. Yeah,
Why?
I've done some hard reflections because people put you on a pedestal. People are there to help you out a lot and do things for you and think you're great, and you've got a lot of admiration for that, and that feeds into it. At parties and stuff like that. And I think if you live that lifestyle, it will lead you towards that route, in my opinion. So I feel like
That's
I've probably
so honest.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a narcissist, naturally high levels of narcissism in general, but like it does lead you towards that path, you kind of
How do
I
you
don't know,
know
you start
if
believing your own
strong
hype.
positive...
Let's put it
When
that way.
does healthy ego and strong positive self-image and confidence become narcissism, in your words? Because
They're
to
completely
believe in
different
yourself, to
things.
push yourself, to be I agree with you, but some people might not
Yeah,
see the difference. Some people
yeah,
will
they're quite
go,
different.
well, if you're just a very confident, driven person and have good self-belief, some people, it's like a quick switch visual, would just go, oh, you're a bloody egotistical narcissist. And you go, no,
Mm.
that's a different thing. But people might not. And so just because you might have a different idea to me, so I'd love to just understand your
Yeah,
thoughts
it'd be
around it.
interesting to kind of think
Yeah.
about it in that sense. So
Mm.
self-confidence, I believe, is built through achieving things, right? So you set out to
Yeah.
do something that's relatively difficult and you achieve it, and you see other people that might not be able to achieve that thing and you manage to achieve it, and
Yeah.
gradually throughout your life there's loads of little signs. You're always like, you're always looking around, scanning the environment. Am I as good as this person? Am I not as good as this person? Am I good at this thing? Am I not good at this thing? And over time, you kind of, through your childhood, you collect this kind of amount of confidence that, oh, practical things, I'm really confident in that. So
Yeah.
I'm a confident person in 90% of situations. But then you ask me to read a book in front of 10 people, and I will be extremely unconfident person in that sense,
Okay.
because my confidence will drop relative to the skill that I'm trying to do. So my
Your
overall
confidence
confidence,
is based on evidence. You've done the thing that you said you could do. Because that's the difference
over
between
time, over
naive
time,
confidence. Yeah, that's what I mean. Your
over time,
confidence, you
yeah.
build it up like the whole layers of
So,
paint
so, so
analogy.
it's not going to
Evidence
smash,
that I am who I say I am.
yeah. And you're good at the things that you're good at.
Yeah.
Whereas like narcissism is like, it's like we were talking about earlier with posturing that you're good at something that you're not good at,
Mm.
and just for the sake of the social gratification for that thing.
I need to be seen as better than others.
Mm-hmm.
Ergo, I need to stay big fish, small pond. Or there was, I think they did a study with kids with maths tests where all the kids did a maths test, and it was effort versus identity, I think. So it was, if you said to people, oh, you tried really, really hard on that test, so proud of you, versus if they said to the other half of the class, you did so well on that test, you scored 100%, I'm so proud of you. And then they would get there and they would invite the kids to do a more difficult test. The ones that were rewarded for effort worked for longer, and more of them opted to do the harder test and work for longer when they did it. Those that were given this sort of expert self-belief, this expert identity, wouldn't challenge themselves through fear of shattering the identity that they are great. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then also they did another bit of that test where they got them to mark their own things. And the children who were rewarded for effort marked theirs like 95% honestly. And like 40% of those that were identified through getting it right, like, I'm proud of you, you got it right, 40% of them lied. They would mark their own tests to display that they'd got 100% right, even though they hadn't.
Yeah, well, you start building this fragile ego, don't you? This perception of yourself.
And I think that is the path that leads to the narcissist. Do you know what I mean? They can't handle criticism. They blame others when things go wrong. They have to win. It's not about improving. It's about winning, being seen as the best. And
I don't get how I get to the end result.
Teammates. Yeah. They have no empathy for teammates.
It is beyond a privilege to be able to bring the Firefighters podcast to you, and we are so grateful for every single person that supports, listens, shares, and follows our journey. And to help us keep doing it, create more, reach more guests internationally, and make the podcast sustainable, we're asking for you to help. And to do this, we've set up a Patreon page. By joining our Patreon community, you will get access to every single full episode archive we have ever made. Now, hundreds and hundreds of key documents that we've got in there on fire behavior, firefighter health, cancer risks, instant debriefs, and so much more. So if you feel like you want to join the Patreon crew and help us make this possible, head to patreon.com/TFFPC or check the link in any episode podcast notes.
I think the vision there is like, you're basically saying the test was important rather than they were important. I've heard it to be described like, if a kid walks up to you with a painting that they've done at school and they present it to you, and you go, oh my God, there's a painting, it's amazing. I'm going to put this painting on the fridge and say how good the painting is. And it's like, well, actually, probably what you really want to do is the kid comes to you, gives you the painting. Oh, that's nice. Put that down and go, you've done really well. Like and that's how you build their confidence. Yeah. And it's the same thing, isn't it? With the test, the maths test results you're saying the result was really good, not you were doing well as a person. So you start.
Always effort. I always acknowledge effort rather than outcome. Outcome matters when you get, outcome always matters more as an adult. But when you're trying to build the concrete and the sort of mindset behind achievement, it's knowing that you need to reverse engineer it, you need to change the calculation. It's like high effort equals a higher likelihood of a good outcome, rather than good outcome is the only metric no matter what, because otherwise you will downgrade your aspiration to a really low effort thing just to make sure you always hit the low, pitiful target that you set to start with. It's like me saying, watch me jump over this curb, and then expecting lots of high fives for it. It'd be, well, it's a fucking curb, Pete. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
I've seen that. I've seen that so much with competitiveness. So there's like...
I finished the High Rocks, by the way. Did everyone. That's an example. I'm a High Rocks finisher. I've done 2 of them, but still I'm like, everyone finishes the damn thing.
Yeah.
Whether it took you 9 hours or 1 hour.
You get a t-shirt and a round of applause.
It's like everyone finished it.
But this is what I see with people who compete, and this is a profound point, I think. And it took me so long to work this out with, you met someone who's like hyper competitive.
Yeah.
They never really do that well in sport because that energy burns out quite quickly, right? Because what you just said there is like they end up lowering their standard, or they don't go, they stay big fish in small pond because they always have to win. I've always got to win. So what you start doing is...
the strongest guy in the local gym,
That's it. And they don't want to come out of that pool of people.
Yeah.
But that's genuinely what happens. I've seen that, and it's like a fear of competition, and they won't go
into
the local
endeavors. CrossFit box, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
and I'm the best here. Don't matter about like being 10 minutes slower over High Rocks than someone else in the country. I don't compare myself to that. I compare myself to this little epoch here. So
see that in services as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think you see it all the time, and I'm by nature quite a competitive person. But I have to really curb where I get competitive in life, because if I can imagine you're like this, because you alluded to like the addictive personality, right?
Mate, I'm terrible.
If I set a goal for myself, I'll typically break myself in half to try and achieve that goal. And it's so when you've got kind of, because I would say maybe not as much as you, but I've got quite an addictive personality.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to integrate that. Like,
why did you say not as much as you versus not as badly as you? Because if you say as much, it sounds as though it's better to have more. But sometimes I see it as you're suffering from something a bit more. Me, not you.
I don't think you're suffering.
I might have just picked up on. I think I
uh,
do sometimes, but I'm
no,
not getting into a fucking false empathy bullshit bit.
no,
But
no,
I'm
no,
just
no. I
like,
think it's true, but I think it can be a curse and a superpower depending on the
oh,
person.
it's annoying sometimes more than anything else.
So I've got quite a manic brain. So like I
Mm.
think a lot, and I don't overthink, but like my brain goes quite quick when I'm thinking about things.
Mhm.
And that can be my worst enemy, but it can be amazing. Like, you can learn things, you can ravage through data really well, and these different things. It gives you like a superpower on one hand and then a curse on another. And if you learn to integrate that properly, like it sounds like you've done that, right? So you initially had an addiction to chemical substances, right?
Mhm.
But then you learn the hard way that that's not a good way of living life, and now you've put your potential, your addictive personality towards a positive outcome.
A few, yeah. I have to spread it across a few. If I get
Yeah.
too intense about one thing and then I can't move it forwards, I'll either break it or I'll break the people that are involved in it. So I need to be able to go like, oh, this one's hit a bit of a stop, and I need to just immediately, like, it's like if a motorbike runs out of fuel, I've got to jump on another one and keep going
Yeah, spin that
whilst
other plate.
someone else puts some more fuel in this one or someone sorts that out. Because if it was just like, I used to think, oh, I want to be chief fire officer. But then if I get to a point where I just can't get past this promotion panel and I've tired 15 times and I'm doing something wrong or someone doesn't like me or whatever, I would end up, and I have had disciplinaries in the past, I would end up just breaking that and
Mm.
doing something wrong because of blind frustration.
Mhm.
Blind frustration. But that doesn't work
But
in a corporate organization. So
that's the
I need something
importance
else to
to
put it on.
integrate that. Do you
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? That's the integration of that. So that's when it kind of manifests and comes out as a negative. So like we're
Yeah.
all learning to curb certain things. Like we've all got personality traits that we wish we didn't have, and we're all trying to learn like little tricks of the trade to
I
kind
think the
of
poison's in the
curb them.
dose, isn't it? Like the
Yeah.
character traits aren't a net bad. It's just what volume, how much of that dose have you got, and how much can you temper it? It's back to the
Like if
aggression
I
thing, isn't it? Yeah.
if yeah, it's back to the it's all about that integration of it. It's bad. But like if I go to your lifestyle, it's like right, I'm going to make some assumptions about you. I don't know you that well, but you're doing a podcast right now.
Mhm.
You train.
Trained this
You,
morning, yeah.
you've got a wife and kids, and you're a watch
I
manager.
had a wife. I
Okay.
broke that bit.
Okay.
I have a partner and kids.
Partner and kids. Okay.
There
So
was
you've
no
got
overlap. There was no overlap,
a
but
right. Okay.
that wasn't why I
So
broke.
okay. So same thing, but
Yeah,
you've got a lot going on.
yeah.
You're doing a lot, and I think you probably don't appreciate how much of your addictive personality allows you to balance all them things. Because a lot of people can't.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm well aware of that bit now, and
Right.
that's
Okay.
why I very much I really appreciate that part of my character traits. But I'm just more and more aware that it ain't for everyone, and that's fine. But then you do have to be quite selective about the people that you have in your world. Then
In
you
what
know.
sense?
In the sense that people like the idea of being your friend. They've got an idea of what being your friend would be like. And this is genuinely not remotely anything to do with being better or worse than anybody else. It is to do with marching to different beats, being interested in different things. Like if you said to me after this, because I'll say it now, because sometimes people do say it, they're like, "Oh, we should meet up for a coffee." And I'll go, why? What for? Well, and that's to some people like, what a dick.
Mm.
Why would we do that though? If I wanted to get better at running and Jack went, hey, we'll do this, or if I wanted to come and do something in your service, then that would be useful and we should help each other because we're both trying to help each other do useful things. But I don't spend time with other people particularly unless we're doing something together. Because there's not a lot of point to me because my social cup gets filled up doing this.
Mm.
But some people would see this as work.
Of
So
course.
they'd be like, yeah, but what do you do when you're not working? And I go, well, I changed work into a thing that I enjoy doing. So I'm having a one-to-one deep, interesting conversation with Jack for bloody 2 hours. I don't need to go to the pub and chat about the goddamn football.
Yeah.
That would be that would be just painful to me. That would. I would
Yeah, I
hate that.
suppose we sound very similar in that sense. So, like, I can't really do small talk. Like, any conversation I get into, it always ends up getting quite, like, yeah. And I just typically, like, I probably come across as a prickly person sometimes because of that. But, like, if
That's a
someone's just
good way
starts
of
small
saying
talking
it.
to me, I'm just like, yeah, cool, yeah. I'm like a barber, not being rude, but I don't want to get into it with you,
Just
mate.
cut
Like,
my hair.
just
That's why
chill. Like,
that's one of the reasons I started shaving my head, because I'm like, I don't want to force socialism with this person. I'm not
yeah,
interested. I'm not
yeah.
interested.
But I think that's, like, it sounds, you got clear, defined goals and stuff, and that does help you prioritize. Going for a random coffee is like, no, I've got things to do. Like, I'm not just sitting around, and I want someone else to plan my day for me. I very much know where I need to be and what I need to do.
I don't want to feel like I
important.
wasted it.
Yeah, do you find it hard to relax in?
I find it hard to relax in the way that other people would probably define relaxing. Yes. The traditional relaxation is something I struggle with. Like watching a film, or just sitting. Like, I don't do that bit very well. I can sleep well.
That's
So
good.
like, if I'm going to sit down, I'll sleep. And if I'm gonna, if I've always got my headphone in, I'll be listening to an audiobook if we're on the way to the airport or something like that. But like sitting down and just, I don't do that bit very well. It's if people typically call that relaxing.
So what would you call relaxing? What is your relaxing thing?
Zone 2 stuff. So I quite like doing your zone 2 might be a bit longer than mine. Mine's about an hour. I tend to do it on like a bike, so 230 watt. No, maybe 220. Maybe 220 watt on a watt bike or something like that. Where, people are not zone doing this, but you just talk. You could talk the whole time if you needed to. You do
Yeah.
sweat.
Low
But
intensity.
very low intensity, bit more than walking. But I tend to do most of it on a bike because I don't like to fucking run. Hurts my knees if I do it for too long. I'm still quite heavy, about 18.5 stone.
Yeah, you haven't got the
So I like to do that.
frame for running.
No, I did used to
Big
run when I was
guy.
a kid, but not anymore. But so I like doing that. I used to love to walk my dog, but I don't have a dog anymore, so I really miss that.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too. That's probably most of it, really. That's what I do. I actually like working. I like sitting here. I've got like four screens in front of me here. I could just sit here all day by myself and do stuff. Just
That's
fiddle and
relaxing.
learn and build project stuff.
I think
I
that's
quite
something
like that.
I think that's something interesting to talk about, because I hear this quite commonly. It's like Marmite with the Zone 2 thing. People either seem to love it or hate it. And I think it's a shame when I hear people that dislike Zone 2 sort of training. It's nothing to do with the training stimulus. It's to do with the psychological benefit of doing low intensity exercise. So it could be just out walking in nature. And I think it's such an important thing. Like, I find, for example, if I'm stressed, I go for a run. My stresses are still with you for 10 to 15 minutes. And your mind's maybe manic and you're thinking a lot. You get past the kind of 20-minute mark. And if you keep it low intensity enough, you kind of go into a bit of a meditative state. Like, you've got so much oxygen going through your body. You're not working really hard. You're on a route that you've done before. So you're in co-pilot. And honestly, the amount of problems I solve after 20 to 60 minutes of my run, and my brain gets reordered.
Do you do voice notes to yourself, or what do you do?
No,
Or do you just
do you know what? It's
the voice
strange.
note shit because I forget it.
No, I don't write down.
Ideas leave me though. I think my memory's terrible.
They do leave you, and I should get back from the run and write down. I should
No,
probably
I'm
get
saying,
back.
not saying you do anything wrong. It's obvious.
No.
Only you will know if you don't.
No. I feel like I should do that. Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like I should be doing that.
Okay.
But So what typically happens for me is I have it's almost like a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be, I will say a point and someone will like, another part of my brain will be like,
Yeah.
debunk that bait. Debunk, like, why is that a stupid idea? Or why is that a good idea? And I'll have like this back and forth with myself, like I'm on a podcast with you now. And I'll have that conversation and it reorders things. And honestly, most of the time I'll come back at very like loads of clarity. I think people need that. I think we're disconnected from that. Like a lot of people go to the gym to exercise and it's like, oh, you just need to get in. You need to get somewhere quiet. You need to get in nature. You need to slow everything down. And I don't know, like there's something about it that I wish.
It's the whole peace of mind, peace from mind, I think.
Okay.
You know,
What
where
is that?
people are, I want peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, peace of mind is, I think this is what we get used to hearing, but peace from mind is if you get your body to do something where it's stimulating itself. And some people get this in a hot shower, some people get it in a sauna, some people get it walking outside. It's like your body clicks into auto subconscious mode, and then your mind is almost can start to flow a little bit better. But it's the whole, if you try and think your way out of a thinking problem, it's like trying to snort your way out of a cocaine problem. It's not going to work. Sometimes if you do something physical, like walking, like you know, steady state cardio or something like that, that I don't know why for me as well, though, it can just give me peace from mind, and then my mind can start to rejoin the proverbial conversation, if that makes any sense at all.
That does make
But if
sense.
I'm just trying to sit still, think with the thinking, it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, like the forcing meditation thing, like people are like, right, okay, I need to calm down, sit there. It's like your brain's just doing that, and you're like, yeah.
It's literally the same if you can't get an erection, try and force an erection. That's not going to work. Not going to work.
Yeah,
You can take all the bloody Viagra you want. It's not going to work.
It's not happening.
It's the same like SSRIs and depression. There's like there's been tests where they've ramped up the doses of antidepressive medications, and I'm not saying they don't work, but I'm saying there is an element of you need to also believe things are going to get better.
The placebo.
Otherwise, you can take all the fucking stuff you like. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? You need to believe it's going that way.
Find hope somewhere.
Hope's a big one. We've got to have I think that's why, whether we call it placebo, whether we call it religion, I feel bad that I'm not religious at times because I do think religion is a bit of a performance enhancer. Are you religious? You got married in a church, didn't you?
We didn't get married in a church, no.
Sorry, I thought you did. You married in a barn.
Yeah, it was like it was a barn conversion into like
a beautiful video.
It's really nice. I've kind of delved into this actually. I was trying to learn a bit about religion. What is this thing? Why is it so powerful?
There's someone getting a massive gain here that I'm missing out on.
there's the selfish side to religion. I want to be religious so I get better.
That's the sell, isn't it?
I've massively I've heard the argument that I was listening to some podcast and they're saying like, if you live in the Western world, you're probably a cultural Christian if you're born in this thing. And I can't debunk that for myself. Like, I'm definitely a cultural Christian. A lot of my values come from Christianity. Whether I believe in the metaphysical side of religion, can't get on board with it at the minute. I have been like delving into. I struggle with the Bible, so I'm dyslexic. So reading and writing is not my thing. So reading in Old English is not going to happen for me.
Some of it's almost not written in English at all. It's a bit like reading old Shakespearean stuff. It's like that's barely English.
but really... going back to Jordan Peterson that you mentioned earlier, he wrote a book, We Who Wrestle with God.
Oh, good book.
And it's have you read that?
Audio,
but audio, same here. So I'm on like my fourth time round because I like to re-listen to books, especially when there's a lot of depth in it. So I'm listening to that again.
Because you hear something different the second time as well. Usually when you listen the first time, you're busy thinking about the thing they just said or the thing you just read, and you kind of skip past the next bit without realising it. But then when you hear it the second time, you hear something different.
Of course you do. And it's like, it's revolutionary. When you first hear something, you're like, oh, that's
Yes.
changed my brain a little
Jesus
bit.
Christ.
And then when you come back to it, you've got that change
you
in
know
the
that
head.
bit's coming. Yeah. It's the whole man never enters the same river twice, because the river's changed and so has the man.
That's it. That's correct. So it's very
I'm going to
much
listen
like
to that again, actually. I think I'm going to listen to it once.
And
like,
for me,
I was re-listening to Oliver Burkeman's 4,000 Weeks at the minute, because that's a banging book.
4,000
Jesus. Oh, mate. Yeah,
I'll have to give that a listen.
Anyway, carry on, sorry.
So, yeah, and it's just,
we who wrestle with God.
Yeah, so he poses a lot of arguments within that book that I've struggled to break myself. Like, I'm trying to break the argument, and I go, do you know what? That's pretty sound. Like, I can't shake some of the things that he said.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, the further you delve into stuff, you go, okay, it's a bit like the gratitude you were talking about earlier, being born where you're born, your parents being who they are. You know, there's there's a gratitude to that. There's got to be a gratitude to Christianity, and in that sense, in my opinion, you know, this thing has provided us what we have today. You know, it's done some cruel things, but it's done some amazing things. And I don't know. My opinion is not really that valid, because I don't know the Bible inside out. But from what I understand of it right now, it seems like a book full of wisdom written by people over the years, that if you stick to the morals in the stories in that book, you're probably, it's like a cheat code for living a good life.
It is. Yeah.
And that's how from what I know so far, and my incomplete knowledge of Christianity so far, that's where I'm at with it. So yeah,
if you take
I don't
the
know if I'm
messages
religious.
and try and not over question the messenger, there's some great life lessons. There's fucking bangers, absolute bangers, and even I think they're true. It doesn't really matter. Really, it doesn't really matter.
Well, it doesn't matter if you think they're true metaphysically. They could be true truisms here and now. So, like, for an example of heaven and hell.
Yeah.
If you live a certain lifestyle, you can live on hell on this earth. Yeah. You call it what you want. But if you see someone on the street, on your high street, and you look at them, they are in a psychological hell right now. And if you live according to Christianity and stay on that straight and narrow path, you will live in a life something resembling heaven. Like, my life's not perfect, and I haven't lived a perfect life at all. Like, I've done many unwise things growing up, but
I'm still doing them.
We still make mistakes. But my life, like, if you compare my life to someone in a third world country, like, I would say my life is resembling something like heaven.
An like, embarrassment of riches.
I'm not wealthy, right? I'm a firefighter. My missus earns less than I do. She earns all right, but less than a firefighter does, just to give you a ballpark, right? I feel like I'm rich. Like, I can afford everything I want. Like, I'm not a materialistic person, so I don't spend, I've never spent more than like $3,000 on a car, because I'm just like, why? If it gets me from A to B and it lasts me like 3 years, I've got my money's worth. I don't want designer clothing. I don't want anything material from this world other than, a house and things to utensils and stuff. But I don't know, I just feel quite wealthy. Like, and people just talk about wealth in terms of just money, and it's like
my wealth is like my calendar.
What's that? In what sense?
Oh, you love my calendar. This year really? Alone, like, oh yeah. Well, I don't know if you'd love my calendar. I love my calendar, which is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
This year I've done so much fun traveling. Not that I got paid to do that traveling, but the people have invited me to cool things. Like, we went to Rome together. Then I did Dubai in January, did the Intersect thing. And then I did the IFIW in Australia. And all of these were professional, personal development things. And then me and my missus went to Venice. Last weekend we went, the Book of Mormon again in London with some friends. Went out for dinner with my daughter and the family. And then this weekend I'm off to Airport Fire Officers Association. And then that is my wealth in my diary, with my friends and with my loved ones. I always say we don't want to live longer, we want more experiences. Do you know what I mean?
Experiences rather than things.
Yeah, experiences rather than things. That's my wealth.
Yeah.
It's
but then
like,
it's also
people that I get to spend time with.
It's
And
also
the
the
stuff I have, yeah.
qualitative stuff of that. You see what I'm saying? Like you could be somewhere with your partner or kids, but
Yeah.
you could all be arguing.
Yeah,
But it's the
true.
quality of them relationships, isn't it? It's like them
1000%.
qualitative things that you can't really measure is important. It's like, when I see my parents, it's just all love,
Yeah.
and it's same with my wife and friends and stuff like that. And
Uh,
to me, that's a big part of wealth. It's not about what you have in your bank. It's because the more you earn, the more you spend. Like I have earned more in the past. I was an electrician before being a firefighter. I was earning a lot more money then, but I spent more money, and I was probably in the
that's what you
same
mean.
cash flow problem that So
Everyone's got fun. Elon Musk has got money problems.
yes,
Jeff Bezos has got money problems. Everyone's got money problems. There's just a scale.
it's not a money problem.
Every
It's a
single level, there's
psychological.
a devil. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I want to be beyond respectful of our time because I've got something we need to get to, and I know people won't know we're recording on a Sunday morning. I wanted to speak briefly about psychological safety because you are beautifully open and transparent, which is why I knew I'd love and enjoy having a conversation with you. But I think we shouldn't take that for granted because I don't think that's as common as I would like it to be in the UK Fire and Rescue Service. Just to zoom in locally for a second, and it's kind of the origin of why I think I started doing this, because I would meet lots of interesting people around watch tables, but then when I would look at what was being displayed in public, I'd be like, "Who's that? That's not. I don't relate to that." Whereas I relate to you, and I relate to obviously the people that we've had on as guests and things like that, because it's like, but they're real people with real opinions. Why are they not allowed to say these things at work? We're not. They're not being racist or sexist. They're just saying their thoughts and opinions, and they're learning out loud. Why is that a problem? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So if I think people don't understand the concept of freedom of speech, so
Okay.
we kind of want to know what other people are thinking, and we also need self-correcting, right? So
Definitely.
we need to vocalize a thought that we say, and then we also need to have our thoughts recorrected by someone else, because that's how we reorganize our brains as humans. And that's why fundamentally why freedom of speech is so important. I should be able to say something, and if it is offensive, then you can highlight to me that's offensive, and we can have a conversation about that. It doesn't need to go anywhere. And what you'll do is you'll rewire. If I take that on board and I think what you're saying is rational and respectful, then I'll go, oh, I didn't perceive that as being offensive to that person. But if you shut off freedom of speech and you go, you can't say that, which you hear a lot, you can't say that anymore, then no one's brain gets recalibrated. No one, and
No.
then guess
That's
what
not
happens?
education.
It's not an
That's fair.
education, and you can't just shake your fist at people either and say you can't, saying it's racist and it's discrimination and da 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 da. You have to be kind about it. You're like, listen, this is, you see it from this other perspective of someone else's, and you go, the other person goes, oh wow, like I've never thought of that. That's really interesting. But if you shut that down, what happens is they go into little echo chambers, and they get
it doesn't stop
more
existing.
radical. It gets more radical. It gets worse.
Yeah.
So, firstly, it highlights people with extreme views, and then you can go, that person's got extreme views. Be careful of their opinion. Secondly, it recalibrates what we think, and I like doing this. I love debating with people on watch, right? So we have a conversation, we're debating each other, and I never try and prove anyone wrong. I'll just say my point, and they will say their point. I'm not going to sit there and go, well, I think you're full of shit, because what's the point of that? You're not going to change anyone's mind doing that.
You moved into a personal attack. Then there's no benefit in that. You know what I mean? There's opinion. There's an idea and an opinion that's on the table between us. This isn't I'm right, you're wrong. If we're seeking to understand, that's great. If you're trying to be right, everyone loses. I'm just trying to beat you over the head with my opinion. Yeah. This is just a clever game. I'm just going to try and stay smarter than you in a smart way and play gotcha and da da da. That's not healthy debate. That's politics. That's gotcha. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's just, I'm just trying to zing you with a zinger. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, no one fucking won or lost here. It was just everyone.
Well,
Debate lost here. The
unfortunately,
world lost here.
everyone loses. Everyone
Society lost.
loses.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you shut
You know what I
down
mean?
any
Yeah,
to
yeah,
say
yeah.
any like I've heard this being said. To say anything of note, you risk being offensive.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. Like if you anything that's any conversation that's worth having, you risk being offensive.
Yeah.
And the problem is if we stop having them offensive conversations, then we stop having true, deep, meaningful conversations. And then guess what? We can't solve our problems because we don't know where the problem lies, what the issues are. We just want to shut it down. And I think it would be great if like upper management, I think it's good on Watch. I think people are very good with debate on Watch from what I've seen. We can have chats and they can, different political opinions and people can have that conversation and kind of shake hands and move on from it. But as soon as it goes out of Watch level, and it's a bit of a bugbear of mine, it's like upper management get hold of something and then they hear key buzzwords that were said within this conversation out of context. Then that's when the disciplinaries start coming. People start trying to censor language because, they got pulled in and give a level 3 discipline for saying this certain thing. And yeah,
Because a lot of policy doesn't allow for nuance and context is a problem. That when things get written down, they lose. This is why social media is really, really rough. Because you read a comment, you read something not in the way that it was written, the way you wrote it and the way I read it. I impregnated it with all of my own biases and misperceptions and judgments and self-criticisms and blah. Oh God, Jack thinks I'm a piece of shit. Everyone hates me, or the whole world hates me, and I'm catastrophizing and getting on. That's not what he said at all. No, that's not entirely. Well, that's not what you miss. This is why I think podcasting is the purest form of social media, by the way, because I'll watch a 1-minute clip of you or whoever, and they'll go, "Hey, da 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 da." And I'm like, "That's not Jack." I can't understand him in a 30-second soundbite. I want to listen to him for 2 hours and go, "Yeah, actually, he's interesting, or actually, he's full of rubbish, or whatever." But then, we can't compress anybody down to a singular statement and go, "Jack said this, he's racist." Well, slow down. I'll bet you could find something I said in this podcast, and if you just took that quote, you could make me sound racist, definitely, or sexist, or anti-Semitic, or anything, because they'd be clipped in isolation.
Yeah. Well, I think there's an umbrella of lazy thinking within society nowadays. So we don't want to delve into anything. There's a lot of people that the massive population will see a clip, like you say, and go, I'll demonize this person straight off the bat from this 1 30-second clip. I won't go into the hour-and-a-half podcast and see their values and their beliefs, and through that, I will literally demonize them on that.
Yep.
And I think, I think politics kind of leads the way, and politicians seem to do that to each other. They'll try and shut each other down and reputation savage between each other, which is just bad modeling for the rest of society then. So then people do that to each other. We'll use power games to censor people and stuff like that. And I think that happens quite a lot. And like you say, the perception. I mean, I don't know if you've had any experiences like this, but people always love to ask you if you're a firefighter or as any emergency service, I should imagine, like, oh, what's it like dealing with like death and dead bodies and stuff like this? And over the years, I've found that question a bit of a minefield, because every time I say that to someone, they have their own perception of death, or they're asking you a question for a reason because they might have been dealing with it. And the worst one, it was about a year ago. And he's like, oh, how do you deal with death? And I was like, well, I was kind of just saying, for me, when they're dead, it's pretty still. You kind of get used to it. It's worse for me when they're in pain and suffering. I'm hearing them screaming and such like that. That just strikes a chord in me more than seeing a dead body laid on the floor.
It's suffering, isn't it? Someone's suffering.
The suffering for me is worse than seeing someone just there.
Yeah.
And I said,
being dead is a bit like being stupid. Everyone else knows you're dead. You don't know you're dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That person's
Yeah,
dead.
I like
Do you know what I
that.
mean? It's not being stupid.
But
Everyone else knows it's stupid. You don't. Don't
but
fucking worry about it.
but the guy then goes to me, he goes, "Oh, it was awful." He said, "Oh, well, I was just asking 'cause, me and my wife had a stillborn recently." And I was like, "Oh, fuck." Like, I'm not saying death's not bad. I'm not trying to underplay, like death, and it's like they take it and they put their spin on it, and I was like, "No, no, no, no." Like,
It's totally different.
yeah, the
We miscarried
context, and it's
twins.
like,
And you go, they died because
yeah.
we failed. I know that was part of the story that my partner at the time felt like she had failed as a mum
Yeah.
to preserve life, the one thing she was designed to do, which is not true, of course. You know, like 1 in 4 ends in a miscarriages. But it's just not something we commonly speak about. So
Yeah, sorry to hear that, man.
death is contextual. You know,
Yeah.
death is not, was it suicide? Was it this? Were they attacked? Was it their fault? You know, was it not their fault? It's fucking, there's no, death is very contextual. And it's very,
Yeah.
obviously, it's very personal experience, which it isn't really for us, which I think is why trauma makes it so much worse, because the mind abhors open loops.
Mhm.
And we go to something, someone's dead, and then we leave and we go, I didn't really know them. I don't really know how it happened.
Yeah.
They died, but I don't really know why. And I think that's why we suffer more with trauma, because we don't really have any context for it. You suffer more from seeing someone else die that you don't even know than if your grandma dies, because you knew she was ill for a while, she died, you got closure on it, you went to the funeral, you closed the loop nicely. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we go to a
Makes
car
sense.
crash. Oh, whose fault was it? Don't know. Car flipped over. Put them in an ambulance. They look like they might die. I think they did die. Did you hear they died? Paramedics said a couple of weeks ago that they said they died.
Mm.
We've no idea. There's too many holes in this story, and that creates
Yeah.
trauma for us. But if you can close the loop, you have a complete story.
Mm.
So death for us is very different. A death for any first responder is different to when someone says, "Oh, my brother died once." Probably more upsetting for you, but probably less traumatic.
Mm.
As probably caused more trauma, but didn't actually upset as much in the moment because I didn't even know him.
Mm.
It was part of the
I
job.
often hear people when they're talking about like PTSD and stuff, it's normally something that you did or didn't do rather than something that you see. So like,
Yeah.
it's like, I was driving to the shout and I took a wrong turn and I got there and the person died in the building fire. It's all my fault because we got there 2 minutes late because I didn't take the right turn and da-da-da. And you hear stories like that rather than I
Open
saw a
loops.
mangled
Shoulda,
body.
woulda, coulda. Woulda this been
Mm,
different? I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
There's that.
that's tough. But yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. But like you say, it's and coping mechanisms of that, and the freedom of speech that wraps in quite nicely that we're talking about, because the dark humor I've heard you talk about in podcasts before, so important coping mechanism, but it is such a niche thing specifically to people that are used to dealing with trauma. Like people listen to jokes that be made on a pump would be devastated hearing that. But if you came and worked a year on the appliances with us, you would use that as well as a coping mechanism, and you
You
have to
can't
let.
expect people to act normally in an abnormal job. And this is where I
Yeah.
think a lot of organizations get it wrong. And I'm not saying there's a spectrum to this thing. It doesn't mean let people be racist and obscene and use offensive words every day. But it goes, this is not a normal organization. We don't do a normal job. Yes, at times we do normal things because, well, you do, Pete, because you send emails and we have policies and procedures and we all have uniforms, just like ASDA. Yeah, but we don't stack shelves. Our job is a not normal job. Therefore, it will attract not normal people. I don't mean freaks. I mean people that are just different neurodivergence, different appeal to different. So therefore, they will act and process things in different ways, the same way that they learn differently. Do you know what I mean? We can't say neurodivergence yes in one way. We can't acknowledge it in our learning styles, then not acknowledge it in our coping mechanisms. Do you know what I mean? We can't go,
Yeah,
well, we all learn differently because there's more neurodivergence in the fire service and in first responder. But then when we act differently in at work, we can't go, that's wrong. And you go, well, hang on
yeah.
a minute. You just said I was different and that's a good thing. So fire
Yeah.
service says, hey, be yourself. Not like that, Jack. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, don't do that.
Mm.
Like, well,
According to
what are you on about?
Do you know, I had a conversation with an FBE rep the other day, and they're obviously dealing with like hearings quite a lot, so they see a lot of the, what goes on in the service.
Employment tribunals and shit.
Yeah, and it's like, we were just chatting, it's like, in what world do you think, like firefighters are quite disagreeable people. we are, as a whole, they're like, we're a disagreeable bunch of people. Like,
you don't need to ask them their opinion. Let me tell you something else.
And what do you think? Like, you don't get people that are all in their shell and scared to say boo to a goose, jumping in building fires and doing stuff like that. And it's like, you're employing people for their courageous abilities, their problem solving, all these sort of things. And then you don't expect them to, use equipment in the wrong way because, it needs to solve the incident or, whatever the thing is, like, that be confrontational. It's like, well, you have to be quite a confrontational person to work in the job. And it's like, well, if you get that overspilling into watch life as well, it's like, of course, like, you expect. I'm not saying, like you're saying, I'm not saying you can just go around shouting at people and punching people in the face, but like, if firefighters get into a little scuffle, it's like, is that so shocking? Like, is it? We were talking about a guy, and this is an old story, but he was on the high street, just come out kicking, like clubs kicking out time sort of thing, and he's on the high street and he sees a guy on the floor and loads of guys on top of a guy on the floor, and it was like a 3-on-1 like fight, and he's an ex-Marine, he's a big lad, and he went over, shoved the people off the top of this guy who looked like he was getting kicked in by 3 people, shoved them, starts throwing punches, protect this person. And it turned out they were undercover officers arresting someone. So it all went really sideways, went into like a big court case and stuff like that. But like, this person is just displaying like protective instincts.
You want him to do that. That's a good thing for society.
He's just
intention good. Not malice.
Yeah. Well, it's no malice in it, and he's got his protective instinct. And what do we do as firefighters? Like, you're willing to go into a building fire and damage your own body to preserve someone else's, potentially. And it's like, well, that's the kind of person you are going to draw towards a job, and we need to be more accepting of that. I think. I think that's important.
1,000%. Dude, I've got to go and do the family thing. I would love to speak to you for another 3 hours. What I'd love to do is have you on again in like 3 or 4 months. I think it'd be banging to get deeper into stuff because, and I don't say that to everybody. A lot of people only have on once, not because they're terrible, just because I'm like, we've got all the juice out of the tube. Others, I think we could easily do another 2 or 3 hours. I'm going to go back and listen to We Who Wrestle with God. Oliver Burtman, 4,000 Weeks. Was the one I'm listening to. It's great.
I'm going to start downloading that now. 4,000 weeks.
People want to find you. We'll put a link underneath here. Instagram's probably the best way to go in a little bit more. You do help. You coach people, don't you? You do coaching?
I do online coaching. Yeah, I've got a very short.
Bang it in there.
Yeah, so I've got online coaching. So it's good to win coaching. I've got an Instagram for that. I am capped on that, so I've only got 3 more spaces open that I'm going to do because I've obviously that life balance and.
Put up the prices, brother.
That's it. But
people want it. Scarcity principle. There's less of it, makes it more valuable. It is more valuable. If it's not at least £250, £300 a month, then well, it's fine. If someone wants cheap shit, they can go and just download someone else's PDF for £10. You're clearly valuable. You have a lot of value to add. You're a proven athlete at a high level. So yours is more valuable. If people just want to lose a bit of weight, then they go to the PT for £15 an hour at the local gym.
That's it. If you want to make serious gains.
So, baby, want to get serious? You got to put skin in the game. Got to put skin in the game. Pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So I hope those 3 spaces are not cheap because I know they will be high value. Yeah. Therefore, they shouldn't be cheap.
And I love doing it. I love doing it. So, and that shines through, I hope, when I'm coaching people. So, yeah.
You've clearly got a lot of value to our brother. Send my love to the good lady. I really do appreciate us taking time together this morning, mate. And let's catch up again. Let's do it again.
I appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Hope you took a lot away from that episode.
We started the Firefighters podcast to develop, inspire, connect, motivate, represent, and most importantly, celebrate the world of incredible emergency services operators and the wider sector through this series of wide-ranging conversations. We really love creating this podcast and bringing it to so many people. Did you know you can also find these on YouTube? We do a lot of video podcasts. Now you can head over to our YouTube page and follow, subscribe there. And as a final ask from us, whatever platform you're on, please rate the podcast. It really helps us as a key performance indicator to reach more and more people. I've been your host, Pete Wakefield. This has been the Firefighters Podcast. And wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be happy, and where possible, please remember and support your firefighters and first responders. I'll see you next time.